आप ही हो, आप और हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So thank you, dear devotees, for joining in. We have 2 minutes. We'll quickly do some kirtan and then we'll hand over to Purna Nandini Mataji. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna चैतन्या प्रभो नित्यानन्दा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्ता वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्या प्रभो नित्यानन्दा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्ता वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्या प्रभो नित्यानन्दा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्ता वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय हरिहराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदना गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदना मोहना हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधा माधव जय श्री राधा माधव जय जय प्रभुपाद जय गुरुदेव श्रील गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। कलियुगपति तमाम हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। पुरुषोत्तम अधिकमास की जय। अनंत कोटि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। All glory to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. So to you, Mataji, Dandats.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for that wonderful kirtan. Unfortunately, it stopped. It was so nice. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to the session of Sri Brahma Samhita and a happy Independence Day. So we just concluded the kirtan, so we'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtake Mukam Karoti Bhachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Aham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Just opening the shloka just a minute, I forgot about that. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Yeah, Hare Krishna. So we have to do the 17th shloka today, and yesterday we have done the 16th. Just read the translation. Anybody wants to just read the translation of the shloka 16? Yes, Arun Prabhu, please go ahead. Hare Krishna, Arun Prabhu, do you want to read the translation of the shloka 16? Okay, Krishnamurti Prabhu. Am I not audible? Hare Krishna. Not allowed to unmute. Please unmute everyone. Okay, okay. Just a second, please. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I just did that. One second. I didn't realize why nobody. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So Arun Prabhu, shloka 16 translation, please.
Thank you, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation: the function of Shambhu in relation to Jivas is that this universe enshrining the mundane egoistic principle has originated from Shambhu. Shall I read the purport, Mataji?
No. I mean, like if you or anybody wants to share what is the takeaway from yesterday, what do you remember? Anybody wants to share? What we remember of this shloka that was discussed yesterday? It was discussed yesterday, right?
Sorry, Mataji, I was not there yesterday.
Okay, okay. Anybody else who was there yesterday? Okay. So the translation says the function of Shambhu in relation to Jivas is that this universe enshrining the mundane egotistic principle has originated from Shambhu. Okay, at least what is it? What is the mundane egotistic principle? Can anybody answer that? What is the mundane egotistic principle?
False ego, Mataji. It's like
What?
false.
Okay, false ego, right? So what do you mean? That means we have a real ego, right? So what is the false ego? What is the real ego? What do we mean by false ego and what do we mean by real ego? Anybody wants to
Ego.
try? Yes.
I just want to share, Mataji. So ego basically means, Mataji, it can be positive or negative. Like we can have a certain kind of an attitude which is which can be positive towards towards someone, but because we have like a negative attitude because of the envy, that's probably it's called false ego, and that's not our real ego, not our real swarup or a really real attitude that we are with. Because of the envy or anger, we have got this false ego imbibed in us. That's my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Okay. That's a little partial understanding, right? If anybody else wants to try, they can, or else I can just give a small brief on that. Okay. See, yeah, you were right on the aspect of envy and then attitude. But then what exactly is false ego or mundane egoistic principle is when I identify myself as this body. If somebody asks me, who am I? When I say I am so and so, my name, I come from so and so place, say Bangalore, India, then I'm this one's daughter, this one's sister, this one's wife, and somebody's son. This is my son, or I'm mother of somebody. So this is the false ego that we are talking about, because it is called false because it is pertaining to the body. Okay, pertaining to the body, which like you use that word swarupa. You use the word swarupa, right? So swarupa means yeah. Now, can you make a guess what exactly is the actual ego, Arun Prabhu? You want to try? What is the actual ego? This was all the false ego that we spoke about. Okay, he's not there probably. You're all able to unmute now, right? Hare Krishna. Not able to. Please make me your host. Again, it got this thing, is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I made you the co-host, Mataji. I unmuted everybody. Then I don't know.
Oh, yes, Mataji, we can unmute now, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. To think I'm the boss, without me nothing can happen. To make you self-centered. Is it okay, Mataji?
To think, Mataji, and that we are the soul and not the body. That's a real Swarupa. Mataji, we are not able to hear you, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna, sorry. Okay, yes, yeah, that is the false ego, that I'm the body and not the soul. You were talking of Swarupa, so I said, now are you able to relate what exactly is the true ego, or what is my Swarupa is when we identify ourselves with the soul, right? And I think it was Padma Mataji, you said, what did you just now say? I'm the boss, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So when we identify ourselves falsely with the body, then we come to that conclusion that I'm the boss. Nothing, nothing can happen without me, right? So that is what is coming from Shambhu. Is what is. I mean, the other details. Because Arun Prabhu spoke of this, so I kind of just elaborated on that. So mundane egoistic principle or false ego is when we anything that is connected with the body, being Independence Day, saying India.
Mataji, please mute those who are unmuted, Mataji.
You can take my glasses. Okay, my glasses. I think on the table. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. What is positive for ego, Mataji? Can you explain?
Not positive ego. See, the scriptures and Srila Prabhupada says false ego and ego, right? False ego is when I identify myself with the body. Okay, when anything connected with the body. This is my house. This car belongs to me, right? And then this is my father. This is my husband. This is my son. This is my country. This is my city. Okay, all this is comes to picture when I identify myself with the false ego. When I identify myself with that I am this body. Sarvo upadhi vinirmuktam. Upadhi, all upadhis, all these are upadhis. What do I mean by upadhis? Upadhis means, daughter, sister, mother, father, country, statesman, or anything connected with the body. Because that is false, because it is temporary and it is not permanent, right? The body is temporary and it is not my true identity. My true identity is that I'm a soul and part and parcel of Krishna. So that's how Srila Prabhupada, spoke of a true United Nations means actually happens only when everybody identifies themselves on the spiritual platform as the soul. Otherwise, he said, United Nations, every year there's a new flag that is coming up. What does he mean by new flag coming up? That means each time there is more divisions. India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh was one country, and then after the war or whatever, then it became 3 countries. So eventually, like this, so because they are identifying, each of us are identifying ourselves with the body. So that is what is false ego. And the ego, true ego, is when we consider ourselves as part and parcel of Krishna. That means we are considering ourselves as actually souls. That is our true identity. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dhamma Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes,
So true identity is that we are souls and eternal fragmental parts of Krishna. But what about then what is Swarupa and what is like ego is good to have in the sense true ego is good? And what is true ego basically?
Okay. Ego, see, we unfortunately in the mundane sphere, ego means we always have a negative connotation to it. Ego is actually means identity, right? Identity. So when I identify myself as part and parcel of Krishna, that is not the negative ego that we always, when we say ego, then we say that person is very proud. No, that is true in the sense when I talk about it on the mundane level or in the material sense. But in the spiritual sense, when I say I'm part and parcel of Krishna, I'm a servant of Krishna, so that ego is good. And it is there, it can never go. Can we all be without an identity? I don't know who asked this question. Mataji, can we all be without an identity? Ego actually means identity.
Yeah, no, we can't be. Right.
So ego means identity. So that is why if you see, there is never, if you read Srila Prabhupada's book, he always mentions about false ego, never true ego. Ego, we have misidentified with the aspect of saying a false with the body. So that word Mithya Hankara, it comes. If you read the Sanskrit term, it calls as Mithya Hankara. Right? The word Ahankara means, our thoughts goes wild. Oh, Ahankara. No, Ahankara or ego means identity. Okay. I hope that clarifies.
Yes, Mataji. I was seeing the definition also. Ego is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. And it also says that responsible for real testing and a sense of personal identity. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is identity.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that definition also, the explanation. Okay. So we'll go for today's shloka. I need prayers from the Guru Parampara and all the devotees who are assembled to do some kind of justice for the today's shloka. So we have to read the shloka, the word to word translation, the translation and the purport. So I'll start with Anita Mataji can read the shloka. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
अथ तैस्त्रिविदैर्वेशैर्लीलाम् उद्वहतः किल योगनिद्रा भगवती तस्य श्रीरिव संगता.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sindhu Mataji, can you please read the synonyms?
Yes, Mataji. Pranams Mataji, Haribol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Synonyms: ata, thereupon; tai, with those; trividai, threefold; veshai, forms; leelam, pastimes; udvahatah, carrying on; kila, indeed; yoganidra, Bhagavati, full of the ecstatic trance of eternal bliss; tasya, of him; Shrihi, the goddess of fortune; Eva, like; Sanghata consorted with. Translation, Mataji.
We'll give everybody a chance. That is,
Okay,
I think that's all, Mataji. Yes, definitely. Yeah, Prashanti Mataji, translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by Prabhat ki jai. Thereupon the same great personal Godhead, assuming the threefold forms of Vishnu, Prajapati and Shambhu, entering into the mundane universe, placed the pastimes of preservation, creation and destruction of this world. This pastime is contained in the mundane world. Hence, it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahavishnu, prefers to concert with the goddess Yoganidra, the conscient of his own spiritual chit potency, full of ecstatic trance of eternal bliss, appertaining to his own divine personality. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dhamma Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Radhika Mataji in the purport. Radhika Mataji.
Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
If it's okay, can I do the next sloka?
We are doing one shloka a day for this. Actually.
Okay. Perfect. Shila Prabhupada Jai. Hare Krishna. The dislocated portions of the divinity, namely the Prajapati and Shambhu, both identifying themselves as entities who are separate from the divine essence, sport with their respective non-spiritual Achyut consort, namely Savitri Devi and Uma Devi, the perverted reflection of the spiritual Siddh potency. The spiritual Lord Vishnu is the only Lord of the spiritual Siddh potency, Rama or Lakshmi. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, just to, repetition can be boring at times, but still, sometimes it helps for us to understand a little better. So, when we saw the whole picture of the creation, with Krishna, Golok Vrindavana on top, and then his first expansion of Balrama, then the Chaturvyuha expansions, and then we saw the Vaikuntha Loka, then the Brahma Jyoti, then the Shiva Loka, then we come to Mahavishnu lying on the causal ocean, and when Mahavishnu breathes, he is breathing unlimited number of universes that are emanating from his pores. And in that, we are kind of trying to understand. I mean, if you see that picture, one Brahmanda is kind of blown up. I mean, it is blown up, and it is shown like how the 14 planetary systems are there, and how the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, there is a lotus coming on which Brahma is there, and then Krishna also expands the Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu as Paramatma in each and everyone's heart, right? So this is one picture which we can kind of keep a picture of this, it is a little easy, at least for me to relate. So I just thought I will go through this. Now here we are talking about the two dislocated portions of divinity, right? You see the choice of words by His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, this was done being Independence Day today. It is very relevant, to say the Britishers kind of told Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, can you please talk normal English so that we can understand? That is the kind of scholarship, scholarly this thing our acharyas had, though they never displayed it, but just to show what to show that people in spirituality are not just always only into just chanting or to make, because most of them believed that they were jobless, or because they were jobless, they had nothing to do, they were into spirituality and other things. So just to beat down that aspect, this book was enough to show them at what scholarly level all our acharyas, our scriptures itself is so high, and our acharyas. Okay, so he says dislocated portion of divinity. So what exactly does this mean, right? So if we two aspects. If we take Krishna or Krishna's Swa Amsha expansions, Vishnu or Narsimha or whatever, innumerable Swa Amsha expansions and the other expansions, right? So these are the two aspects that we are seeing. So Krishna and Swa Amsha expansions, as you mentioned here, are never influenced by the Maya potency of the mundane world. Whereas they are called Prajapati and Shambhu, are both identifying themselves as entities who are separate from divine essence. So what does that mean? They're identifying themselves as, like we just spoke about, the false ego. And when does this aspect of false ego come? The aspect of false ego comes when one forgets Krishna. Okay, when I forget Krishna, then I think, like Padma Mataji said, that I am the boss. The moment we know about Krishna, then we understand what it means to be a boss, right? Boss means somebody who can, as soon as he's born, as a 3 or 4 day old baby, can kill a huge demon, or he can drink fire, or he can dance on a 1,000-hooded snake. That is what it means, a boss. That means nothing can bind him, right? So here it is saying Vishnu also, Supreme Lord Vishnu is also always in touch with the spiritual chit potency, Lakshmi or Ramadevi. Whereas Prajapati or Shambhu, okay, they sport with the non-spiritual achit potency called Savitri Devi and Uma Devi. Now, how do we, even though, see, Prajapati and Shambhu, Shiva and Prajapati, we are talking of Brahma here, they are actually very exalted beings, and they're exalted devotees of Lord. But even then, if we see the pastimes, how even they were bewildered by Maya. If we take the example of Brahma, the Brahma Vimohana Leela, like, suddenly Brahma says, hey, who is this coward boy? How can he be Krishna? How can he be Supreme Personality of Godhead? And then he takes away all the coward, the Gopabalas and the cows and other things, and then for 1 year, and then we know the pastime. And when he comes and he sees Krishna here. I mean, he sees the Gopabalkas, the cows here also, and then he sees they're with them also. They're with him also, and he is so bewildered, right? And if you have seen this video of little Krishna, very beautifully it is shown there, like how Krishna, expands into each of the Gopabalakas and the calves, and then how all the Vrajavasis are, relishing. They're wondering why, how come we are feeling more love towards the same son? I mean, it's the same person, but then how come we are feeling so much love towards him? They were not able to understand that, but Krishna expands into all of that, right? So showing his supremacy, every step Krishna shows his supremacy. And then even then we have Vijanantima Muda. Even then people, Mudas think Krishna is an ordinary person, right? So and then how is it Brahma gets out of the illusion? For that also Krishna only is needed. Like, when he tries to come and then he sees all the other different Brahmas. He thought, oh, I was the only Brahma, I'm the only boss. And he sees there is a 1,000-headed Brahma, there's a 1,000,000-headed Brahma, there's a 10-headed Brahma. They're all coming on different swans, and then they're coming and paying their obeisances, and it makes a huge noise. Each of their crowns, when they are going down, Krishna makes it such a way that only our 4-headed Brahma can see this whole thing, and he can hear that noise. Each of the crown, touching each other crown, and it makes such a huge noise. But all the other Brahmas are unaware. Okay, and then he realizes, oh my God, what did I do? I thought this cowherd boy was somebody who's just another cowherd boy. Right? So he, then of course he apologizes, and then for the offense he is born as Haridas Thakur. Even though, it's like a punishment, but then Krishna, you see, we must always understand Krishna's position. He's never like a strict police officer. What will a strict police officer do? Now, if you are done a mistake, he will just punish you so that you correct yourself. But then Krishna's punishment is so sweet that you will want his punishment also. See, he though he was born as a lecha, because of this offense, as Haridas Thakur in Chaitanya Leela, nobody else got the name as Namacharya. Even the other acharyas, even Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they all also used to chant, 3 lakh names every day. But then it was only Haridas Thakur who got the name as Namacharya, right? And then how does Krishna protect him? When he's beaten in 22 marketplaces, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself goes and then takes all the beatings. That is how sweetly Krishna punishes, exactly like how a mother punishes a child. Even though there's a punishment, it is filled with love of punishment, right? So I deviated a little, but the whole aspect was saying that even somebody like Prajapati or Brahma can get bewildered or is attacked by Maya. Or can get into this aspect of getting into the aspect of as a false in the false ego, like wondering if there is somebody more superior or whatever aspect. So the same way Shambhu also, Shambhu, when he saw Mohini Murti, they said how he was bewildered with beauty and he left. Parvati, Mother Parvati is supposed to be very beautiful. If you read scriptures or if you hear Acharya's lectures, they say she's very beautiful. Then at the moment he saw Mohini, he left Mother Parvati and then he ran behind Mohini, right? See, all these pastimes, repeatedly we have to keep in mind that it is not in a disrespectful way, right? It is only to give us a warning that even exalted persons and devotees like Brahma and Shiva can be come under the influence of Maya. So how much we should be on our toes. We must always be on our toes, that that Maya is always there to make her influence on us. Okay, it is not to say that they are fallen or they are in their aspect of to be disrespected. No, the very aspect that they are such in the such exalted position is that they are definitely to be respected, but they play a part. See, all the other in any leela, anybody is playing whatever part, it is not that they are more than them being bewildered. It is their love for Krishna, because their only aim is how to glorify Krishna, right? Or how to give some kind of knowledge to conditioned souls like us, for us to always be aware of what we have to be, how careful we have to be when we are in the process of bhakti and other things. So yes, definitely it seems that they were bewildered and then these things, but then they play their part. They play their part because Krishna wants them to play that part to give us all a message. So and that is how it is said as dislocated persons of divinity. And then they sport with their respective non-spiritual achit consorts as Savitri Devi and Uma Devi, whereas Lord Vishnu is never in this achit. He is never influenced because he's always with the chit potency Lakshmi, because he himself is the boss there, if I have to use the word today. So he is never under the influence of any of these mundane things, right? So that is the main import of today's shloka, actually. But then now I was just listening to one nice short clipping of His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. Most of us are, I think, would be hearing. I would like to relate that with what, I would like to repeat what he said because it sounded so much more relatable when I read this and then when I heard that. I hope it makes sense to all of you also. And why I thought I will repeat that was being Independence Day today, right? Srila Prabhupada, when first he went and met his spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. He was in 1922. Srila Prabhupada was in college days, okay, and it was those pre-independence days, and then like anybody else, any other youth, he was, for to get independence to India. He was in that mood, in that frame of mind. And then when he met Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, he said, when there was a conversation, he said, what do you do? He said, we want India independent. In the conversation, it came out like that Srila Prabhupada said, we have to make our country independent. And then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj said, what is the use of being independent from Britishers, but being a slave in your own body? Something to that. It is not exact words, but this is the conversation. So then it actually, that is the work of the spiritual master. It awakened, not that he was sleeping, but it awakened the bhakti spirit, and it reignited the already bhakti spirit in Srila Prabhupada. And then, so Srila Prabhupada said, what do you mean? Then that is when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj talks about the soul, and true independence is to get away from this cycle of birth and death. Okay, and in 1922 is when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj gave instructions to Srila Prabhupada that you must go and preach in the West because you can speak good English. And from 1922 to 1965, Srila Prabhupada meditated on that, and in 1965 he goes to America, and 1966 ISKCON was founded, and that's how we are all, by his great mercy, we are all here. Now coming to the aspect of what Amarendra Prabhu was talking about, the glory of a devotee or glory of Srila Prabhupada. So here we understood what is a Prajapati. Prajapati means one who creates, right? So he was saying, what does Brahma do? Brahma gives us these material bodies based on our karmas, right? The soul anyway is coming from Krishna. But what did Srila Prabhupada do? Srila Prabhupada, gave birth to the bhakti movement, or the bhakti in all of us. He gave, he gave that push to all of us by giving in the form of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and to actually understand our true identity, our actual ego, right? So he said, who is higher? Who is more greater? Okay. Then next he came about Shambhu. Amarendra Prabhu is talking about Shambhu. Shambhu, what does Shiva do? What is the work of Shiva? Anybody?
He is the annihilator.
He is the
He
destroyer.
annihilates.
Annihilation. Annihilation, destroyer. Right, correct. Thank you, devotee. So he is the destroyer. So what can he destroy? He can destroy this material world, or he can destroy, the bodies. At the most, he can destroy the bodies. That is all. Because nainam chinnanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka. The soul cannot be cut, cannot be dried, it cannot be burnt, nothing, right? So he can destroy that. But what did Srila Prabhupada do? He gave us Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by giving that, what did Srila Prabhupada destroy? He destroyed our false ego inside, right? So he says how much more merciful actually a devotee of Krishna is. He's more merciful than Krishna. That is what we hear. So that is, he spoke about Shambhu. Next, he spoke about Indra. What does Indra give us? What is Indra famous for? What does Indra give us?
Rain.
Rain. Perfect. And Indra being like now, if Brahma and Shiva only were bewildered, Indra, so Papa, he keeps getting bewildered. He tried to destroy Vraja, the whole of Vrindavana by those rains. So that he was trying to give that kind of rain. But what is the rain that Srila Prabhupada gave? Srila Prabhupada gave the rain of protection from this material world, protection from anxiety, protection from all this stress that we go day in and day out in the terms of chanting, in terms of association, in terms of ISKCON, in terms of reading, and all this, the whole community. Srila Prabhupada did not stop at just giving only the tattva or only the philosophy. Because when only with what will we do with only philosophy? Yes, at first step, the gnana, the philosophy is needed. The next step is vijnana. We have to apply it. And then when we have to apply it, we need same kind of set of people to apply it, right? So Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada was very firm, he was very, very focused, and he, saw through things going further into Kali Yuga, how things are going to be. So he made an oasis in a desert of this material world. He made ISKCON, and like-minded people can go there. And in that community, when we are away from, in case if the whole family is not Krishna conscious, then how the community of devotees will take care of whatever needs. It can be financial, it can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be physiological, whatever ways, there's a whole community to fall back on, right? So he created this kind of a community. I mean, this is the protection he gave, from the rain of forest fire of this mundane world. Okay, that is Hamarendra Prabhu is talking about. Compared Indra to a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, and he said who is higher. Then finally he talks about the sun. So what does the sun do? It gives us heat and light, and the light drives away the darkness. What darkness it can drive away? It drives away the darkness of the in the material world. But Srila Prabhupada gave us the knowledge of Krishna, which helps us drive away the darkness of anartha in our hearts, right? What are the anarthas? What are the 6 anarthas that we are all carrying? Anybody wants to list?
Kama,
Yes.
Krodha,
Lobha,
Moha,
Mada, and Matsarya.
Matsarya.
So Srila Prabhupada gave whatever he gave. It can be in terms of chanting, it can be in terms of scriptures, in terms of this, yeah, all that he gave. It drives away the actual anarthas. I mean, it drives away the anarthas, the malice, the black, thick coal tar that is there in all our hearts. Hare Krishna. Kindly mute, please. Yeah, thank you. So it drives away all the anarthas from us. This is what he compared with the sunlight of coming from the sun, and the light, the knowledge light given by Srila Prabhupada. So and then he said, so who is greater? Of course, each of all the Prajapati, Shambhu, Indra, Surya, all of them have their places. But why a pure devotee of the Lord is so exalted? Because he is paradukha dukhi. I mean, like he's always wants to give that mercy to the devotees, right? Or not devotees who are not yet devotees. who are just, suffering in this material world, suffering in the threefold tapatraya,
Jivas.
the jivas, these suffering souls in this world. That is how merciful a pure devotee is. So when I read this shloka talking about Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva, and when I heard there is Amarendra Prabhu's this thing, it made so much sense, so much more, because at the outset, if we just read Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj's translation of Brahma Samhita, actually it is very difficult to understand, because he is trying to use very high, because his command in English and all was very high. But if we read Srila Prabhupada's books, and then try to read this Brahma Samhita given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, then it was a little relatable. It was a little more easier to understand. So that is how we have to always remember, always be grateful to the Acharya, especially to Srila Prabhupada, who day in and day out tried to give us this, all these literatures, especially, he used to sleep just for 2 hours, and then the way he translated Srimad Bhagavatam, even till his last breath. There are videos in the net. You can see even in his last breath, he is translating Srimad Bhagavatam, and in such a palatable way. It is like, acharyas. I mean, like people who talk about Srila Prabhupada, they say Prabhupada has given a plate, he has put the halwa, he has kept the spoon also. All we have to take is take that spoon and put it into our mouth. He's done all. Only he couldn't digest it for us. At least that we have to do. He's left that for us, right? So the Bhadra Purnima is coming up. Bhadra Purnima is a day where Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam is either gifted or is bought, and then is read, and then there are a lot of places where they keep Bhagavatam and then they do Arati. I think in one of the temples they keep Srimad Bhagavatam set as the deity, and then they do Arati. So why I'm going so, wondering where did we go land from Brahma Samhita to Srimad Bhagavatam. If we have to understand Brahma Samhita, we have to understand this. We have to first understand, we have to try to read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and understand what Srila Prabhupada is trying to tell us. And then when we read this, then it is very easy, at least a little easy to relate. Not very easy, it is definitely more relatable than trying to directly understand these a little more higher aspects of spirituality. Okay, so a quick summary about today's shloka that we read. What we have to understand is that other than the Lord and his Swamsha expansions, that is Vishnu, Narasimha, Varaha, all other than the Lord and his Swamsha, everybody else is subjected to the influence of Maya, is subjected to the influence of this mundane world, right? It is only Lord Vishnu. That is why, if you see, Srila Prabhupada gave this term, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which only applies for Krishna and Krishna's Swamsha expansions, his internal potency expansions, right? And then that is why we have to always, beg to the acharyas and to Srila Prabhupada, and of course when we are praying to all these devatas also, to help us always keep our bhakti intact and not allow this aspect of the Maya to bewilder us, which is very forceful. Why is it forceful? Why is Maya so forceful? Anybody wants to say? Why is Maya so forceful? Third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yes.
Maya's material world.
Okay, why is she so powerful? See, Krishna is the most powerful, but still, even for devotees, there are a lot of exalted devotees like Shambhu and Prajapati and Brahma are also bewildered. Why is she so forceful? Why is she so powerful?
As
To purify
Mataji, Maya Dakshena such.
Maya Dakshena Prakriti Sugate. Yeah, that is one thing. No, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratteya. Maya Dakshena is 9th chapter, the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratteya. Mama Maya Duratteya. Daivi Esha. It is his potency. It is his. It is Krishna's energy. So if I'm trying to overpower Krishna indirectly, right? So how? So that means, is it not possible? No. Mameva prapadyante, it says, if you surrender to me, then it is very easy to win over Maya. There's I will finish with this last example of how exactly, what does it mean to be surrendered. His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj, before, as a child, he remembers, he used to go, give newspapers, put these newspapers as a maybe 4th standard, 5th standard, or whatever, house to house. And there was one particular house, he says, there was a huge dog, ferocious, huge dog, right? And that particular house, the owner wanted him to come inside and put the newspaper on the table, and that dog would be tied near that table. Okay, so as a kid, as like anybody else, he would always be in fear that what suppose someday the dog is not tied, right? So but he used to do his duty, because that was, he has taken up the task of giving newspaper in that colony. So one day it so happened that the dog was unleashed. It was not tied. And then when it almost kind of jumped, the owner comes and calls the dog, whatever name. And the moment the owner calls its name, it just, like meek mouse or something, it just sits down and doesn't go and pounce on His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj as a child. So he relates in one of the lectures that is how Maya is. Maya is like pouncing like that. But the moment Maya sees that we are holding Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet or Krishna's lotus feet tightly, she becomes very meek. She becomes like tamed animal. The moment Krishna or Guru says, no, this is my devotee. And that is what Krishna says. Even though it is very difficult to overcome my energy, this Prakriti, the material energy, but one who is surrendered to me can easily overcome. So that is why if you see Mahatmanas to Manpartha, 9th chapter, Krishna says, you are protected because you are not under the protection of this material energy. You are protected under my divine energy. He's telling Arjuna, he's telling all the devotees. And of course, it depends on each levels of surrender also. Because Arjuna was completely surrendered, so he was completely protected from all these aspects. So with that aspect, I would like to stop the class here. Thank you. I thank Ashish Prabhu and his team for this opportunity to share a few words about Brahma Samhita, especially in this Purushottam month. It is definitely for my purification. And if there was any takeaways, it is all glories to my Guru Maharaj and Guru Parampara. Thank you, Hare Krishna. If there's anything to share or ask, please go ahead. Otherwise, we can close the class.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. This Purushottam month is tomorrow, last day, no?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, one small doubt, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji.
You said Maya is very powerful because, I didn't get that. Maya is very powerful because of course, she becomes meek when you touch the lotus feet of Krishna.
Maya is very, see, she is the energy of the Lord, no? Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is very difficult to overcome her because she is the energy of the Lord.
Of the Lord, okay.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Pranam, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So in Bhagavad Gita only it is talked about Arjuna, Mataji. So what about all other Pandavas? Are they not pure devotees of Krishna, Mataji?
They are all pure devotees of Krishna, definitely. They are pure devotees of Krishna. But then even there, there's some degree, because if you see in the 4th chapter, Krishna says, tells Arjuna, if you remember that shloka, that you are Sakha Cheti. What? He says,
Bhaktosi means
Sakha Cheti. He says, there's always a small favoritism, no? Because of Arjuna's complete surrender. Definitely, there is no doubt that other Pandavas are also equally devoted to Krishna, but Arjuna was more dear to him.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yeah. So Mataji, Madhavani Mataji, can we close the class? Or should we
Hare
do
Krishna,
Mataji? Yeah, because it's a holiday and it is around 12:20 or so. Should we do a round of chanting? Is
yes,
that...
Mataji, sure.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure, Mataji.
Yeah, I'll just take my bead. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaurabhakta Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram. Ram, Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram,
Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Rama
Ram Ram Ram
Rama
Ram Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare
కొంచెం ఆనియన్
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Krishna Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Devotees, if we
Hare
have finished one round, we can close the.
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Ram Hare
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Thank you, devotees. We shall tomorrow. Yeah, we shall all meet tomorrow. Again.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna,
pranam. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Dhanyavat. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam.